r/ask Reddit. What is the most annoying thing a guest has done in your home? One of my mother's friends is not only a raging alcoholic but is also on ridiculous amount of prescription drugs. One night she was staying with my parents and fell asleep in a leather recliner because of aforementioned alcohol and drugs. At some point in the middle of the night she shit herself. Again because of the aforementioned alcohol and drugs. And instead of being a good guest and decent human being and being embarrassed by it and doing her damnedest to clean it up, she threw the blanket she was sleeping under over her mess and then went upstairs to sleep in one of the beds. Then she just told my mother about it in the morning and then left. My mother used bleach and every cleaner under the sun to clean up the mess. And she did. But she ended up just throwing the chair out because how could you ever really look at it the same way again? The most shocking detail in this story is that my mother is still friends with this lady. Let their little kid wipe his ass with my guest towels. Instead of, asking where the toilet paper is. When I was young my parents went on a vacation and sent me to stay with the school nurse for a week. One night I shit myself. I was so embarrassed and didn't want to tell anyone. I took the shit stained underwear and stuffed it behind the dresser in the bedroom. A week after I'm back home, my parents receive a package in the mail. This lady had found the shit crusted underwear, put them in a Ziploc bag, and sent them back to us. A kid whose parents didn't supervise him. He was probably 8 or 9 at the time and would get into anything, especially stuff computer related. He would dig through drawers and open boxes looking for gadgets to play with, only to duck them up or lose something. We finally told the parents they couldn't bring him back when he got into the kitchen and turned on the glass top stove while a pizza box was on it. Started a small, quickly extinguished fire and the house smelled like smoke for about a week. Left his trash everywhere and then started to complain because of that trash laying around. Is he a ducking sim? My best friend wouldn't ducking leave. When I asked her what her going home plans were after 6 days, she said I don't plan my life that way. We are 30. Do you mind if I do it for you? My dad collects fossils and found the lower half of a human jaw. He called the police when he found it but they told him it was quite old and couldn't do anything with it. In the end he was allowed to keep it and the jawbone is on display in his poker room. My mother's cousin stayed with them for a visit, picked it up by each end and pressed them inward exclaiming, "Oh, is this real?" The piece snapped in half. Dad quietly removed the bits from my cousin's hands and left the room. He put it together with some scotch tape. Just wanted to give you some advice to pass on to your dad in case you're interested. I'm a professional paleontologist, have a degree and a job at a big museum. And scotch tape is not archival and can damage fossils. Super glue, however, is archival. It can be reversed using acetone. I'd recommend he use this to fix his fossils and remove any scotch tape very carefully. Took explosive shits that left shit spattered all over the toilet every single day for the month that he was residing in our house. Didn't think to clean it up. This was technically in a dorm room, not a real home, but I had the audacity to wake up my roommate's boyfriend by walking into my room, where he was asleep at 3 in the afternoon, and he immediately launched into a political argument with me. "Oh, sorry I woke you up. You know who needs to wake up? The sheeple. Invite their own guest to stay with us for 5 days. None of them were invited to stay over. Relatives. Told me that we get to do what I want since I'm the guest. But whenever I went to her house she'd say we do what I want because I'm the host. BTW, this was when I was very young, like 9 years old or so. My mother's side of the family can be very inconsiderate. When my sister was getting married some years ago, they stayed with us for the weekend. I knew I had to surrender my room to accommodate them, so I cleaned it, washed my sheets and towels, etc. for them. One day that weekend I came home and went into my room. They were only sleeping in the room. Otherwise I was still very much using it during the day, and found all of their very wet, musty, smelly towels bundled into a heap on my bed. I cleaned it up and came back an hour later to find that my cousin stripped the duvet off of the bed and placed it on the floor and put her toddler son to sleep on it on the floor. My aunt used my makeup without asking. While I was present, they, aunts and cousins, all rifled through my closet and vanity and wore whatever they pleased. The night of one of the events, while I was doing my hair, I put the blow dryer down temporarily and my cousin gave it to her son because he was asking to play with it. He refused to give it back to me and my cousin told me I need to let him plead with it. They constantly asked me to do things for them and help them get dressed, which made me late and I missed the photographer, so I have no pics with my sister that night. I was devastated because she and all my other siblings got some wonderful shots that I missed out on. They insulted every outfit I wore and if they liked it, it was only because one of them had one just like that but nicer. Throughout the weekend, I saw one of them pick my water bottle and drink from it. I walked into my room to find my cousin's husband shirtless and very greasy, passed out on my bed. He hadn't spent the night so he didn't need to be on the bed, but even still, at least shower before you get on someone's bed. And the icing on the cake, my other sister also had to give up her room. One day she found a strange stain on her sheet. Turns out my cousin changed her son's diaper on her bed without spreading a changing pad and his shit got on her bed. When my cousin was my roommate, a trashy sad redneck boyfriend would come over and use all of my pots and pans and then leave them for me to clean up after him. One night I got so pissed I dumped the entire sink full of their mess onto her bed and covered it with a blanket. Never again. Last weekend I spent all day cooking for all my friends. I slow cooked chicken all day, made fresh salsa and guac, etc. We all got drunk and ate. I put everything away so I could save it for meals later. I'm poor so it was supposed to feed me for a bit. Well, after I went to bed, this ducking dun took the food out to make tacos and didn't put it away. So I had to throw away all the food I spent all day cooking. I'm still pissed and getting mad just writing this. Decorated the Christmas tree. A bit of backstory. In my family, the Christmas tree isn't just some pretty thing to look at. It's a relic of family history. Every ornament was a gift from a family member or friend. Some of them were generations old. Decorating the tree was something we all did together, and we'd put the ornaments we'd been gifted on the tree. I wanted to pass that on to my daughter, that each ornament was special and meant something. Then, along came my late father-in-law's girlfriend. She was a self-proclaimed authority on everything, from how to properly cook carrots up to how to decorate a Christmas tree. Knowing how she was, I made it clear that we were going to hang the ornaments together after we got back from some last-minute shopping. We got back, and she'd decorated the tree herself. She stood proudly in front of it, waiting for us to tell her how beautiful it was. Beach simply didn't listen. A chick I had met online years prior asked to stay. She is from the US. I am in a US. She didn't shower the whole time and literally stank up my house. Made a mad mess. Ate everything. Then when she was leaving, I was baking a cake for someone at work's B-day. She said goodbye and left to go to another chick's house. I discovered later that day she had taken the cake with her. The next house she went to, she didn't shower either. We all met on the same website and the next victim of her stank was now living in a US from California and we regularly hang out still. She ate all their food too. Stank twice as bad as a heatwave occurred and then drank all the alcohol from their house, replacing it with water and tea. They didn't discover this until weeks after she left as they weren't big drinkers. Ate my go-gurts I had in the fridge for bad days while I was recovering from a major spinal surgery. Encouraged the other guests to join in. Hogged the sofa which I needed to sleep on since my back couldn't handle the floor again. Still very much in recovery from a major surgery. Refused to give up spot on said sofa. Acted offended when I left the room to sleep on another sofa. Didn't flush the toilet. Almost broke my laptop doing something I told her not to do because it could break my laptop. No matter how much you've missed your friends while spending over a month in recovery, do not invite them over for a sleepover when you're still in a lot of pain. Also, just don't invite a-holes. I invited a former college classmate to come and stay at my house when I found out he was homeless. I knew he had issues with drinking but was not aware that he had come to include other addictions. It was late in the evening when I picked him up and brought him home. I showed him his room, the bathroom, told him to help himself to anything in the fridge. Less than 2 hours later I woke up to the smoke alarm going off. I guess he had decided to smoke some Benadryl that was in the medicine cabinet. I'm not really sure what went on, but he scorched my coffee table and a small patch of laminate flooring, plus he melted a spot in my area rug big enough that I had to replace it. He also broke my favorite glass and for some reason that still baffles me, smashed the remote for my TV into several pieces. Needless to say, I had to show him the door. The next day I told him he needed to go to the addictions clinic at the hospital and tell them he needed help because he was a danger to himself and others. Play League of Legends for 3 days straight without hardly interacting with anyone. Thanks for stopping by. Close friend I hadn't seen in years. Never inviting you over again. Stole my jacket. My roommate's friend took it because he didn't bring one and it was cold when he left. Then when I tried to get it back he denied taking it and threw it in the trash. He is and always will be a useless sack of rotten pickle dongs. Eaten absolutely every snack in my cupboard within 24 hours. Hosted one of my roommate's hippie friends that was currently living in the woods. Getting away from it all. He ate everything we ducking had. My stuff too. Not just my roommate's. No, he didn't ask. Drank all of my favorite tea and used 2 bags in each cup. It's the only tea out of the 80 varieties in the cabinet I said to not use much of. It was difficult to get because only one store carried it and it was a big trip to go get. Then right after she drank it all, I went to replace it and the store no longer carried it. My partner recently found it online and bought me a box though. Stole $3,000 in cash and also stole jewelry. Walked in while I was on the bathroom. I understand if it was a silly accident, but I had loud music from my phone and the lights were on. It was obvious I was inside. She still entered and didn't back out after seeing the lights were on or listening the music. Only when she saw me naked. She wanted to see you naked. My grandma is the kind of person who just can't relax. A few years back her and my granddad came to town for Christmas. And she's doing her usual thing of wandering around the house to give herself small chores and stay busy. Unplugging lamps, doing insanely small loads of laundry, sweeping up microscopic messes. This drove my family nuts for a while. But we've all learned to ignore it and we kind of just let her do her thing while we enjoy conversation and play board games. When all of a sudden, she walks straight up to my mom with the confidence of a swaggering pirate and asks, "Dear, do you think we could take everything out of the fridge, look at it, then put it back?" My mom just looked confused and shocked for a few seconds before non-committally stating, "No," and then everything went back to the status quo. We still talk about it all the time. When I was younger, I bought the exact amount of marshmallows required for a chocolate fudge recipe which I was very keen to make. One of my mum's friends came over to the house for a visit and saw the bag of marshmallows on the kitchen bench with some other groceries which had not been put away yet. Without asking, she opened the bag and ate a generous amount, enough to duck up my recipe. I was very angry. I have since forgiven this indiscretion, but I will never forget. I had a guest that would walk around the house while she was brushing her teeth, which was no big deal. The problem was when she was done she'd use the nearest sink to spit and rinse her mouth out, which was often the kitchen sink that had dishes soaking in it. And she clipped her toenails at the dinner table. Late realtor here. But you wouldn't imagine how many people come to your open house from 2-4 on a Saturday and take a massive, violent, vile, disgusting shit in the bathroom of another person's home and leave. No turning on of fan. No thank you. Just make the house smell like a ducking sewer for the rest of the day. Maybe not the worst, but still annoying. A friend of one of my best friends needed a place to stay temporarily between apartments. Our place is just a 1-bedroom apartment, but we were still happy to put the kid up for a week or 2. He wasn't the worst. He mostly just went to work or went out with his friends. It was really just little things. Hogging the game consoles. Being in the bathroom when I needed to get ready for work. Coming in late and waking me up. The really annoying thing is that he never would have left if I hadn't basically kicked him out after almost a month. I know this because he went on to stay with the original best friend, and then a few others in the extended group until he exhausted all those options. I don't think he ever paid anyone rent, but he did buy us a pizza when he left. Whoa, you made it to the end? You're a ducking beast. I'll cut you a deal. Smash like and subscribe for more curated content, bruh. It's free and that's a great price.